Welcome to Behind the Badge with your hosts,
Lieutenant Ryan Williams,
and Officer Tammy Vandermolen.
your source for all things Fond du Police.
It's Behind the Badge, our weekly visit with the Fond du Lac Police Department. Lieutenant Ryan Williams in studio, and you got a friend with you.
Yeah, I have actually 1/3 of the famous wrecking crew of the old Fond du Lac Police Departments. The wrecking crew, it's REK, stands for Brian, Eric, and Quan. We were the creative hub. Whenever we needed to come up with a creative idea, we would get together in Eric Foster, who is now Lieutenant Foster, his office, and we would kind of just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And Quan Brown has moved on. I think he actually were a school resource officer at that time, maybe or in the computer.
I was in computer forensics at the time, and we would come together. And the reason we come together is the wrecking crew. But the reason we called it wrecking crew is because we would wreck an amazing idea.
Yeah,
We're going, let's wreck it.
Let's wreck it. Let's wreck it.
Oh, come on, that never happened, right?
But it was I just happened to stumble upon Quan in the radio office. He's a busy guy, both and a lot of people think, well, school resource officers, what do they do during the summers? He's already got a lot of things on his agenda as he goes, and he's going to talk about a couple of those things, not only just like police related, but outside of that as well. He's really a great person to reach out, but from someone that has been a school resource officer, I was always kind of jealous of Officer Brown because when I would take new hires and we would go and see what school resource officers did. And if you ever followed Officer Brown down the hallway, it was literally like following the coolest kid in school down the hallway. Like, he's doing a magic trick with a kid over here, he's got a special handshake with a kid over there, and I was just like, I just envied like his interaction with the kids is top notch by far. Like, you know, we all have our different strengths. You know, I kind of interacted through video and stuff like that. Imagine that. And but his interaction is just great through all kids, and it's really a blessing. And people could learn a lot as far as interaction from this man. But he's also busy, and he's got one of the events on his phone here that he's talking about. So we'll let him talk about that a little bit.
Oh, well, again, this is Officer Brown. I appreciate being here, and we have two things. I know at Children's Museum in Fond du Lac, we have a Pulling It Together Father's Day event that is going to be on June 15th. However, we have a hair care and maintenance program that we're going to be putting together from 10 a.m. on that date till 12 p.m. We're looking at the fact that there's a lot of kids being cared for by a lot of people, amazing people, who just don't know how to care for their hair. We're going to provide a lot of tips. We have 2 professionals. We have 2 self-taught mothers who will be there, people who are down to earth, who are going to allow for you to know how to care for your kids' hair, how to part their hair, oil their scalp, how to moisturize their hair, how to condition and wash their hair. A lot of things you can learn. Is open and free to all parents, fathers, mothers, anyone. As long as we're just hoping that you can go to Children's Museum of Fond du Lac website and register ahead of time. But that's really where we are at right now.
I wouldn't have known. He said the wash. When he got to the wash, I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. But the oil and
right.
all that. But luckily it's been less and less of a problem for me. So
Yeah. Well, it's been a non-issue for me for at least 20 years now. So I have no hair on my end. So yeah.
we have
You have 2 daughters?
Yeah, I have 2 daughters. That's what started it, really. I think I had a pretty good head of hair before they came along, and
I remember it. It was
okay.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been some early signs, but no, I wear a hat a lot, so it's all right.
I wear a hat a lot. I still have a nice head of hair, thankfully, but it's just gone extremely gray thanks to my one daughter.
Yeah,
I
that'll
wear that
do it.
daily.
We have a guy that shares our office from the DCI, Department of Criminal Investigation, and I knew him from the police union too, and he had an intervention with me the other day. He's like, I need to talk to you. He goes, just shave it.
Oh,
He says, just shave
that
it.
hurts.
And I said, my wife says no, and she's really the only person that I have to impress. And I have kind of like this ledge, like no one can see on the radio, but like for short people, if I'm taller than you, they're like, oh, he might have something going on back there.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
He just took the hat off, just so you know.
Yeah.
And his hair looks perfectly fine.
Nah, from the back it's not good.
It's
not
good enough.
Yeah, I can feel the rain from the water from the shower a lot easier now. There's no barrier.
I don't know that would be shaven yet, though. If I may.
No, you're way ahead of shaving. That is
You can
absolutely
keep that for a while.
All right, well that's good. Hey, that's bringing me back, and my wife will be very supportive of that conversation.
I know there was typically once you go bald, then you start growing out your beard, and imagine being bald and not being able to grow a beard or mustache. That's where I'm at right now.
Oh, but
Yeah.
you got a good head.
I appreciate it. And that's what I tell my wife. Bald is beautiful. And I think she agrees. But yeah,
On some people, yes. Officer Brown, yeah. No offense, LT. I don't.
Hey, don't go
Keep-
there
keep the
because
head,
it might come. Because what I can't do,
You keep wearing the hat.
I can't do the bowl thing, like where it's just you just have.
No. Yes, if you get see that's what, so you still have some on top.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Officer Brown and I are saying. You don't
Yeah.
need to shave it, but yes, when you with just that, just the wings on the side, I think then you got to shave.
All right, then I got your permission.
yes, I'm with you on that.
You got another event too, right?
Yeah.
Something.
Well,
you said.
yeah.
or-
So I pulled it up here. We have the bike rodeo with the City of Fond du Lac Police Department. We're going to be hosting that at Tyson this year, to be honest. And I just want to make sure I have the right date because Officer O'Donnell is the one who is actually running that with Safer Schools here. It's going to be June 26th, Wednesday, at Tyson Middle School.
So bike rodeos are great for all reasons. Sometimes we'll set up some skill challenges too. We can kind of set up some fun things that we've done in the past. We steal some like police bike techniques sometimes, like for our obstacles and stuff like that. They're trying to challenge the kids. And there's also some like people that don't know what to do like with their bike. Like if it does get stolen, what are the proper steps? Some people don't even know that we still license bikes in the cities, which is actually still a thing. You can do that. You can go to the city county building and you can get a bike license. And what that does is basically if your bike's stolen and we come across it, it makes it so much easier for us to return that bike to you because we just run that bike number and we know exactly where it goes to. Otherwise, we have to try to run the serial number and the chance that you have the paperwork still that has your serial number from your bike is usually not very good chance of that. So it's kind of a guessing game from then, and we end up taking a lot of bikes in the inventory, and then they eventually go to auction when we don't have anybody claim them. So bike rodeo has a lot of good things to do it. I'm gonna try to make it out there. I'm a big bike person. I'm trying to get back in the game. I did the Berkey Challenge.
Oh
yes,
yes.
that just was last weekend.
Can I tell them, Colin?
Absolutely, I have no problem with that.
So I remember Quan's first and last Berkey Challenge ride.
The second part is very important.
Yes, but he's always been a really good supporter of the event, and he was doing all right, I think, in the beginning. And what we had was what we called a Berkey wind. And the wind, so it means basically, it's the Berkey, you go out and it's a loop, and then you end up coming back on the same road you go into. So you feel great, got the wind at your back, and then you come in and the wind is pulverizing and the hills are horrible.
You have to also say how long the bike ride is. It's not like we went for 1 mile or something.
Yeah, it's 60. Did you do 67 that day?
Absolutely not. I did the 40.
Okay, you did the
Which
40.
was 40 miles
That's
on
a
a
lot.
bike is a lot.
Yeah.
And it's through the kettles, so it's nothing but climbing.
Right.
It is a lot of climbing. Like I've done a lot of rides, and even though like Race to Lake is a longer ride, I think the Berkey Challenge is more challenging than Race to Lake.
The up and down, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a leg workout.
So I'm coming in. I don't remember what ride I was doing, but I come across Quan, and he's walking his bike up this hill, and it's a mid-sized hill, and I kind of stop. Hey, doing all right? And he's out. I'm doing fine. And what was the saddest thing is as soon as you crested that hill, you literally saw
More hills.
3 hills bigger than that one he was currently walking his bike up. And I'm like that.
You called an Uber then, right?
So
Poor
I
guy.
ran through that. I was determined to finish that bike race, and I remember I borrowed a bike. It was my first time using clips because there's some of these nicer bikes you clip
Sure,
in.
yeah.
Well, they said go. The first thing I do, I went to go. I didn't go. I went to the side down immediately. Still got up, got back on, started riding. It was a very, very difficult ride, and I remember. Is it called drafting?
Yep, drafting. Yeah.
So towards the end, there was one of the vans had pulled in front of me, and took away the win. So I'm going around 30 miles an hour on this bike. I am just flying on this thing, feel good. I think they felt that I must have been doing pretty good, and they took off. Well, immediately I went from 30 miles an hour down to around, I was struggling to keep the bike upright. I was probably doing around 9 miles an hour. So it was a very tough and challenging bike ride. And someone asked me if I was going to do the bike ride ever again, and I said I will always support the Berkey Challenge. Riding it again, no. I joined the board so I would not have so I could not be guilted into doing or riding that bike race again. So yeah, but it's an amazing cause.
We had a really good turnout this year, and we got rained on too. The last 12 miles I got wet. I had to give so we have a lot of like surviving families of like Fond du Lac officers that work stations, and one of them is the Klasky family. Nick Klasky is one of our officers that had died in line of duty, and his family runs a stop. Well, I should say usually runs a stop. So it was raining, and I was going to go out of my way to in the rain to go and stop at the Klasky stop, even though I just wanted to get back and be dry and be warm and stuff like that. So I go there, and you have to turn off a road, and it's like the red cabin, they have a long driveway, and I was checking all over, and the Klaskys apparently packed up. They packed up, and they went in. And then when I went back, and I finally got back, and I saw them, they were all eating pizza back at the nice warm church.
Well, the Berkey Challenge does have its weather challenges a lot of times. It ends up being a legitimate challenge year after year. So
the one year was so cold, it was horrible. Like I don't know why I finished. It was just kind of like to show that you did it. But it was like sleeting. Like it felt like someone was taking a sandblaster and hitting you in the face with ice, and it was horrible.
Officer Burkholz is having some fun.
Yeah.
From upstairs, isn't he?
We've had a couple good weather days. We've had a couple, and honestly, this last time it started off as a good weather day.
Amazing.
And it just got a little wet.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
You usually do the 67, or always do the 67, don't you?
Yeah, I try. If I have time, I'll do the 67. But I bike. I'm a pretty avid biker.
Something I always found interesting was that so there's a 20 mile, a 40, and a 67 mile, all in the same challenge. Consistently, the people doing the 67 mile bike ride get done first.
Yeah.
You would think so, but that's the guys that are doing.
Yeah. So it's clear that the people who are doing the 67 know what they're doing. So.
Right.
It's kind of cool. Like you start because the courses eventually overlap on each other. So sometimes you get on that 67, you get a little lonely, and then you start lapping the 40 milers, and it kind of give you something to shoot for. Then, I was gonna take it easy this year. I ended up with I was gonna ride with an easy group, and Lieutenant Fisher who works for us. We all had this plan to kind of ride together, and he said, "Oh, we're just gonna take it easy." Oh, that sounds good. Well, I'm not good at riding with other people. They're taking it easy. It was a little bit easier than I wanted to go, so
okay.
I went a little faster than them and just kind of rode by myself the whole time. But it's hard to ride at a slow pace. So
Right.
Yeah, his slow pace is probably around 35 miles an hour. That's too slow for him.
35. Great cause though, Clay. Great that you guys had a good one.
I did send out a couple of kind of some safety tips over the summer. A lot of kids are going to be riding their bikes more and more and being a little more independent over the summer. So I did want to just share a couple, just asking parents to make sure that if the kids have a bike, make sure that they have and carry a bike lock with them so that they can secure their bike so it doesn't get taken. Make sure that the kids are using their helmets and have a helmet so that they're safe while they're out there. And also encourage the kids that if they're gonna cross a street, especially busy streets, but really all streets, they should get off the bike at that corner, find a crosswalk, and cross in the crosswalk while walking their bike across, not riding them across. The reason for that is because if a car comes around and they need to make a sudden movement or direct themselves away, it's much harder for a kid to do that while on a bike as opposed to being able to just run away. Also, he brought up the fact that registering a bike, all bikes should be registered. It will make it a lot easier for us to return a recovered bike to you, but also whether it's registered, and in between the time that you have it registered, maybe take a couple of pictures of the bike, the serial number, the model number, so that in the case that your bike does come missing, and you want to report it, you can get us that information, because that's the first thing we ask. Well, what's the serial number? And there's a lot of bikes that are made by the thousands that are looked exactly the same. How do we know that this is yours? Take a picture of that serial number and make sure that we're able to get that information so that we can return your bike and or find your bike for you and determine that it's yours.
And the serial number is usually right underneath the bike between the pedals. Like underneath between the pedals is usually where you can find that. Sometimes it's hard to see, but that's usually the location of it.
Officer Quan Brown, thanks for stopping in.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, I think you got a regular all summer. I mean, you know.
We'll invite it back.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Lieutenant Ryan Williams as well, behind the badge, KFIZ Today.